May those holidays be the best for you through these seasons. One thing I want to once again also remind everybody is let's get through the end of the year so we can start off new. Stay safe, stay healthy, and that way we can all see you after the new year. If you're out there and you're out and about and you find out that you partook a little bit too much in adult beverages or whatever, please keep somebody's phone number with you that you can call. Call a friend or call anybody. If it's during the day, don't forget My Blue will pick you up. But they do shut off at 5 p.m., isn't it? Yeah, Monday through Fridays. But hopefully some of that will get extended. And the other thing that I want to say is that it has been kind of an interesting year for us. A lot of changes, a lot of things moving forward, and I'm anticipating a great year next year with a lot of things falling into place and a lot of things are going to get done. So thank you, everybody. All right, matters from the clerk treasurer.
Oh my goodness.
What, you're not used to getting in this fast?
Sorry, we just did a quick little.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, staff, appointed officials, VIP public. I'm Michelle Jones, I'm the clerk treasurer. And, okay. I submitted all of our capital outlay requests online. I did submit the one that we discussed at the last meeting. I did call it road maintenance and turn that in. The congressionally directed spending applications aren't available yet online. Those are the applications where we ask for funding from Ben Ray Lujan, for example, Melanie Stansberry. Those aren't not there yet. I do not recommend applying for the governor's capital outlay. I know I brought this to your attention at the last meeting and said, we should pick one item, we should do water, but I did send you an email upon reading further the qualifications for requesting capital outlay for the governor. You have to have exhausted every other avenue for funding, and I do not believe that we have done that. I just don't think it's the right year for us, or the time, or anything for us to be making those requests from her. But again, that's your purview. Also, I am ready to submit our PO obligations for the remaining ARPA funding tomorrow. So that should go well. That should be done and finished tomorrow. I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be part of this town, so happy to work with the people that I work with. All of you are just amazing. And I also look forward to a very productive and exciting new year for us moving forward. And I stand for any questions.
All right, do we have any questions for the clerk?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya.
Madam Clerk, tell me again why it is that you don't want to ask the governor for anything?
Because I read the requirements, and I had that in the packet at the last meeting, and I sent it again when I sent you all an email, and it says there, do not ask her unless you have exhausted all other funding avenues. And I tried to get a copy to bring to the meeting, but I didn't. It really stresses that this is if you have an urgent need and you have tried everything else and you cannot get help anywhere, that's when you submit a request to the governor's office. I think that we still have other avenues for funding. I also feel very strongly that we need to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row before we reach out to the governor. We are still in the process of getting all of our grants in order and processing all of our reimbursements. And we also, we're trying to get our audit in order. And I think it would not be good for us to reach out to her when really, the first question's going to be, it's going to say, have you exhausted all options? And no, I don't believe that. So I just recommend that we don't. We submitted for probably 17 projects on the regular capital outlay. We're going to go meet with our representatives. We're going to submit for congressionally directed spending. I don't recommend us reaching out for the governor at this time.
I have a problem with that. And if we don't and I mentioned this last meeting too, if we don't ask, not gonna get anything. If we ask, it's a possibility that we will get something. I know what the governor's trying to do. She's gonna spend all the money that she has and fast. And she mentioned Edgewood specifically about the fair.
About the fairgrounds, that
Okay,
is
so
true.
those items like that are what you ask the governor for. I mean,
Well-
it's her pet peeve. And we want to ask for every penny that we can.
We can't ask the governor for funding for the fairgrounds. We can't do that through capital outlay.
We ask the governor for money. That's, no ands, ifs, or buts. We ask. That's a cookie sheet letter that they send out all the time. My response to that is ask.
Okay, I really want to know what everybody thinks.
What's the deadline on that,
The 20th,
of December?
yes.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, I reread it myself, and with the stipulations that are in there, the only one that comes even close is Church Street.
And I know that we're still in the process of closing out, I think we have a grant even right now for Church Street. Am I correct, Manager McCracken? We have a grant right now for Church Street. And the first question is going to be, you're asking us for money for a street where you haven't finished the grant you currently have.
Yeah, that's why I said, that's the only one that comes close, because I know to get it all done, we're going to go a little bit above and beyond what the grant money is. So that'll be coming out of the town's coffers. That's why I say that's the only one it comes to my mind, is Church Street, and just, I think it's, we're what, Manager McCracken, we're what, like $40,000 short from what we really want to do in church?
Mr. Chair, that sounds correct.
So, if we can put the documentations and ask for that 40,000 to, like I said, when we've gone through everything for Church Street. But other than that, Commissioner Knight, can you think of another project that would fall under the guidelines?
Have we exhausted all other funding options for Church Street?
From what I understand, pretty much. There's always going to be options out there that we may or may not even know about. So you can't, if they come back and say, well, you can apply for that, we didn't know that. You can't apply for something you don't know exists unless somebody happens to bring it up. But that also could happen. We could go ahead and request for the money. They come back and says, hey, you can go ahead and request it here. Says, thanks for letting us know. We'll do that.
I will do whatever you guys tell me. Can I do your other two commissioners? Do you have an opinion on this?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Milligan.
I'm all about having the right people in the right spots on the bus. If it's your recommendation that you think not, that's, it can backfire on us, I'm gonna follow your recommendation on that.
Mr. Morelli, you got anything?
Madam Clerk, I value your insight into looking at it and taking the time to read through it. As somebody myself who's gone through those kinds of processes, when they ask you, have you exhausted, yes or no, and you put no, because you're going to be honest. We don't ask our people to be liars. You're going to be honest, and right off, it's going to be ticked off, in my opinion. I do agree with Commissioner Brennan about maybe Church Street, if there's maybe that, but outside of that, I don't. So I default to your expertise on anything else outside of Church Street. I think that makes sense. But again, they might turn around and say, oh, well, you still have the grant money. You need to use that up first anyways. So my opinion is you did what you had to do for this year, and we're good. I'm happy with that.
I should have put this as an agenda item, because then you could have voted. I want to be very respectful of your, I want to do whatever you guys want to do. I know, respectfully, sir, honestly, respectfully, we can't ask for money for the fairgrounds because it's not on our ICIP. So we can't do that. It has to be an item on your ICIP. It has to be an item where you've exhausted all other funding options. So I will, okay. Well, gosh, guys. Right, Church Street's on there. Church Street's on there. And funding to date, the town has been funded $1.2 million for Church Street. And now we're asking for $1.8 million. So oh, gang, I'm gonna get myself fired. All due respect, my name's gonna be on that request, and I will look at it again, and if it tells me, have you exhausted all funding options, I'm gonna say no, because I know that there's other funding. I know that we can go after MAP funding, we can go after co-op funding, we could go after CDBG. I know that there's other funding available for Church Street. And I know that I can't do the fairgrounds because it's not on the list. So I will send you all an email, and I will look at it first thing tomorrow. Feel free to come and see me in my office and tell me I gotta do it, and then I will do whatever you all say. Is that okay?
Mr. Chair,
Hang on, Commissioner Merle's been saying Mr. Chair here for like the past 3 minutes. Commissioner Merle, go ahead.
Madam Clerk, and I hope the other commissioners will do the same, but my recommendation to you is don't.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Anaya.
I'm not going to sit up here and tell you what you just asked us to do. But I will tell the manager, I want to see this, I want to see something going to the governor. Okay? I want to ask. If we don't ask, we're not going to get it. And I don't care what the letter says. Politics is politics. If we don't ask, we're not going to get it.
I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, and if you want to put my name on it, by all means, do it. I don't have a problem with that.
Do you all have anything else?
But that,
Commissioner Milligan, Commissioner
I
Brennan?
directed that to the managers.
Yes, I know. I
Mr.
heard
Chair, is that okay with the rest of the commission? Because I can only be directed with the motion and the vote and the governing body.
I would be good with it.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Milligan.
we brought her on with her expertise and everything else, and I just don't want to look like a fool for asking for something if we haven't exhausted all resources.
Okay. Anything else?
No, because it's not an agenda item.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, matters from the chief.
Oops, I'm sorry. No problem. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, respected members of the governing body, appointed officials, public. So today, as you see, I'm standing up in front of you because we recently had the Officer of the Year banquet, excuse me, held last Thursday. And again, I want to sincerely thank Sergeant Angie Bird, who put it on for us. She did a phenomenal job. All of our sponsors that helped us with that, it was incredible. Lulu's Kitchen came out and served us food, and we had a good time. Commissioner Murillo, Mayor Brennan showed up, and some of the other staff, Miss Burke, Jimmy. It was a phenomenal time. But during that time, we actually voted, and the peers voted for the Officer of the Year. And I just want to take a minute and a moment to address Officer Pablo Arreola, who was nominated by his peers for Officer of the Year. So. He's got his beautiful wife and children there. Thank you for coming. I just want to kind of briefly give you a little bit background of Pablo's background. He came over to us from Torrance County, and as soon as he got here, he hit the ground running. You know, this guy has been involved in a couple of officer-involved shootings, unfortunately, and this guy doesn't stop. He finds people. He turns over the rocks, looks in the dark shadows and crooks and crannies of Edgewood. He's one of our very fine proactive officers. Back in June of 2024, he was running traffic here in the town of Edgewood and actually located a driver that he thought was impaired and intoxicated. As soon as he engaged his emergency equipment to conduct a traffic stop, the driver fled. During that pursuit, the driver actually went on to oncoming traffic on Route 66 in an attempt to evade Officer Arreola. At that point, Officer Arreola made the quick thinking to pit the vehicle, which means he crashed elegantly into the vehicle, pushing that vehicle off the road and caused the driver to spin out and couldn't use the vehicle anymore. So he saved lives that day. We don't know what would have happened, but that's one of the many reasons why Officer Arreola was nominated by his peers. So again, thank you, Pablo, for your service. Thank you, Jessica and family, for allowing him to serve and letting us borrow him. But I just wanted to bring that to you guys and let you all know just one of the many great staff that we have here in Edgewood PD. So thank you. Stand for any questions.
Chief,
Sure, yes. Can we do a photo after you guys ask me
yep, we can
questions?
do a photo, and I was going to say, do you want Officer, I'm going to say Pablo because the name's not rolling off
That's
the tongue
right.
right. You want to have him come up and say a few words?
I would love him to come up and say a few words.
Hello. Not really a public speaker, but I just want to say thank you guys. This is a great community. The crime that, like Chief Jimenez says, we have really great leadership, a great chief, great commission. this department would not function without a bunch of moving parts, and it comes down from you guys, from the chief, and really, it's great to see what a great community we have and members of our community. I'm proud to serve this community. This is one of the safest communities, I think, and I live in Valencia County, and I grew up in Albuquerque. I've served in Torrance County, so I have family all across New Mexico, and I'm proud to say that the crime rate here is nowhere nearly compared in other parts of New Mexico, and I think it's because of the great leadership that we have, the great officers that we have, and of course, you guys that make that all happen. So thank you guys for letting me be a part of this team.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Does anybody
guys.
have any questions for Officer Pablo?
Officer Pablo, Commissioner.
Commissioner Naya?
For somebody that doesn't have any experience in speaking, you did a pretty good job.
Thank you, sir.
And your actions speak loudly.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
So we appreciate what you guys do out there. You guys are putting your lives ahead of ours. And I can't thank you all enough for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate and admire those that went to serve under law enforcement. It's a thankless job. You know, the first thing they teach you in school there is driver's license and insurance, please, right when you walk up to the window. And after you ask that question, you never know what the hell's going to happen.
Sir.
I remember that when I went through training one time, and scared the hell out of me. I'm glad you guys are there to protect and serve the not only the town of Edgewood, but the East Mountain community. You guys get praised a lot, and rightly deserved. So I thank you. Please be safe over the holidays. The beautiful kids you have over there are
Thank you, sir.
just, they're lovely, you know, so just be careful.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Murillo?
I just want to say, Pablo, my very first interaction with you, I don't know if you remember, but it was at that lone wolf training at EDCA last year. And I remember going home and telling my wife, I was like, there's a guy there and he is on point. He pushes, like Chief said, he pushes, he's determined. Even though it was a training exercise, you wouldn't know that it was a training exercise because you push so hard in the dedication. And as a father that has children at EBCA, I was like, you know what? This is the guy that I know will protect and serve his community beyond what normal men do. And so I appreciate you for not being a normal man, but for being a great officer. And I think that speaks about Edgewood PD and the kind of guys that we have working for us. So I just want to say thank you, sir, for pushing. Keep pushing, and I think you'll do great things. You already are, so thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Milligan?
Just wanted to say thank you for your service and dedication to the town of Edgewood. It's much appreciated. You all put your lives on the line for us to make it a better community, so thank you for everything.
Thank you, sir.
Mr.
And-
Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner McCracken, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you as well, and I deeply apologize I wasn't able to make the Officer of the Year banquet, but thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What I want to say is that every chief of the department starts from the bottom. And your actions and the way you hold yourself and present yourself to the public, that's the path I think you're on. So keep up the good work, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the guy sitting in that chair someday.
It's way too much responsibility. We'll see when I get there, right? Thank you, sir. You guys,
Thank you.
thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay, all right. You're the boss.
I only saw two. What was the other one hiding? Come on, everybody.
Sorry.
Ready, we're done?
Oh, one more, guys.
Any last picture? All right.
So nice.
Merry Christmas.
See you guys tomorrow.
So nice. Well done.
I love stuff like that.
Good stuff. Yeah, no, we're lucky, definitely lucky. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we recently did an op at the Walmart and some of the big box stores around Black Friday event. That was done by some of our officers and detectives. They did a really good job. They deterred a lot of crime. I think we had 2 or 3 arrests, non-traffic citations, and so I think it was a huge success. We'll probably kick that off again here pretty soon. So, but that's all I have, commissioners. If you all have any questions for me,
Any questions for the chief himself? Thanks, chief. Appreciate it.
thank you all. Appreciate you.
All right, matters from the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, commissioners, appointed officials, and I love it, the VIP public. I have included a little list on your guys' desk. I was able to attend the New Mexico Municipal League City Manager Conference last week. It was really nice. There was only about 9 of us that attended, but there was a lot of information, a lot of in-depth information into the housing issues in New Mexico, wastewater, different city manager issues. But it was a really good conference. I really appreciated it. And I do want to send a huge thank you to the staff, especially the chief and the clerk and community liaison. I know I have been out due to a very serious family issue, but I appreciate everyone. I actually really appreciate all the support from the public as well. All the kids are doing well, and they're all safe. So I just thank you so much. I know 6 months ago, there's no way I could have ever even stepped away from the office. So I really appreciate that everyone was patient with me while I was out. I know that I was emailing as I could, but I do appreciate that. I know in the last meeting, some issues came up. For Ms. Benton, there was a response that was sent to the Office of the State Auditor for the email that she had included, that I had included the chief on to answer some of the questions, but I did send that off to the commission as well. I did request a special audit from the state auditor. I got the green light from the chief so that we could do that, and I have already put that out there so we can have that done as well. Evaluations are being completed by staff. We'll have them in by the end of January. And with the Stuff the Bus event, I want to thank the community liaison for getting that put together. Commissioner Murillo, the Lions Club, and the NCRTD all went, and they got about 1,500 food items, and the East Mountain Food Pantry will be dispersing those out to those in need. We are going to have our Employee of the Quarter. Is something that we have talked about and we're bringing forward. So I will be bringing whoever is selected in January. At the end of the quarter, we're going to go through and evaluate those. Trying to think what else I had. And then I saw the grant letter. I do want to thank the clerk because she brought in the community liaison that brought me up to speed on the last meeting. The grant that was, the letter that was sent in July is the one that I had told you guys was expired. But we do have Roger Holden, who's going to be with us for 6 months while we get another grant specialist hired. So he will help get them up to speed and is catching up any grants or looking into more grants and just assisting with that for now. And I think, unfortunately, since I've been out, I want to say it's been quiet, but I know I came back to some very excited people to see me, but I've spent the last couple days catching up, but I stand for questions.
All right, do we have any questions for the manager?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Anaya?
I hope everything is fine. So,
Thank you.
I have a question on the, I noticed, I saw Mike sitting out there, and so I pulled his pictures out that, from the wastewater treatment plant, and I asked Mike, while I saw him there in the cafeteria, I asked him, I says, how did you get that tank so cleaned out? What was it that you did? What kind of equipment did it take for you to get this done? And I know that Jerry, Commissioner Powers, and myself went through the same scenario at the beginning of, about 3 years ago when we first came on. We had a serious issue at the wastewater treatment plant. And a lot of that is because of neglect back at the beginning of our term. This is not neglect at this part, because Mike went through all of the experiences that we had at the beginning of the year, and he learned a lot. And one thing we found that if the guys don't have the proper equipment, they can't do the proper job. And a wastewater treatment plant is very crucial to the town of Edgewood and the surrounding areas. And so I asked him, I says, how did you get all of that, excuse the pun, but crap out of there? And he said that they had to rent the swamp trucks, which is what it is. It's a big vacuum cleaner that sucks everything out. And so I started thinking about that, and I says, first of all, the wastewater treatment plant that we have is not really a good wastewater treatment plant for our area. Okay, it goes back. It has a long history. So I'd like to make a suggestion to you, Madam Manager, is that we find a way to, two things. Make sure that he has enough manpower out there. According to the pictures, he did, but he had to use existing staff. I think the wastewater treatment plant still needs to have more employees out there. But the big concern that I have is I think that we need to find a way to get him a swamp truck. He needs to have a big one so that they have immediate attention to start getting some of those bays empty when we have to fast. Otherwise, we're gonna end up spending millions of dollars again trying to fix it. When the boulders go out, it's a disaster. So I really want to see us find a way to get something somehow and find some grants. There is for wastewater treatment. Come to think of it, funding for that so that we can get them some equipment. Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Anaya, I think Mike Garcia has done an amazing job. And I know with the updated org chart, that was something we requested, was an additional person out at the wastewater. That is something I sat through at the city managers. It was a 4-hour session on wastewater. And they actually suggested using people straight out of high school that can grow into a job and come on and learn the basics and be that person. They said that's a good route to go, so that's great. And we can add the swamp truck to either the budget. We could look that way or look for grants.
Do the schools still have the OJT program, on-job training?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I know that they're trying to get it going again. That's something Commissioner Brennan and I have discussed, and I'm going to bring forward in January, is to get the approval from the governing body to start doing that. I sit on the advisory board to the school principal, and that's something that he does want to get activated again, is could be through the high school for like the seniors and stuff where they have on-the-job training and they go, the plan is to be able to hire those individuals. That is a possibility.
Right, when I was on the board, we did it through VOTEC, is how we did it. And we utilized that for a way to teach kids, for one, how to work, and for two, to appreciate what it is that you're doing.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Nye, that's actually something they discussed, is this is a great way to get people interested. I guess there's a wastewater operator shortage throughout the United States, and
That's a pretty shitty job.
they're trying to make it an exciting adventure, and they're thinking if you go with high school students who get to learn, I mean, it is really interesting. I've learned quite a bit, and there's a lot to it. Could open opportunities so that's an avenue to look at, but we do have it on there for, I think, the next budget for someone to assist Mike. The road crew has gone out quite a few times to help, and I know some of the maintenance guys too. But Mike has done an amazing job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had to make him take some time off. He's been very busy, but I very much appreciate him. I'm sure everyone does, otherwise we would have a river we don't want.
No pun intended.
Right.
With no paddles.
Well, anyhow, it just, when I saw the pictures last week, and then I'm glad you brought the pictures back in this week, which gave me the opportunity to talk about that, is, again, I don't want to see us spending, it was about $1.8 million is what we had to put into to get it up and running. And it took a lot to get that in. We didn't have, at that time, it was during COVID, and we didn't have a lot of the backup stuff that we needed for, as far as material and parts, which I hope we still are doing that. And I believe that Mike is doing that, so.
Yes.
There's some equipment in there that is pretty hard to get. So as long as we have reserve or backups, replacement parts in stock to keep it up and running. But I know what it's like to get in those pits, Mike. And I envy you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've already discussed, CNMCC, they've got that great internship program. Might be able to find somebody that wants to do an internship and stick around.
Yes.
And we can
Yes.
get funding for that.
Mr. Chair, I agree. I know we started talking to Workforce Solutions as well, of possibly going that route. I did learn that when wastewater operators start getting higher in their certifications, they tend to leave to go to higher paying jobs, but I hope Mike stays with us forever, because I don't know. He knows that plant very, very well. He comes to me and he already knows what he needs, and he's been very good about having backup, whatever it is, if it's blowers, pumps, he's done a really good job of keeping up on that. And he stays in contact with Larry Hall. I want to say almost every day they're in contact, but he's done good.
We have plenty of filters in stock, and we have plenty of filters and also for the trains and stuff.
We just ordered and received 400,
Cassettes?
400, for 2 cassettes.
Okay,
So 400 filters.
good, thanks.
Anything else for the manager? Thank you, welcome back, and I hope everybody's doing better.
Thank you. Yes, they are. I'm very excited. Her boyfriend's doing very well, so.
All right, that now takes us to discussion and action items. The first one is going to be discussion and action commission interview questions. That's Commissioner Murillo and Commissioner Milligan, and there were a couple of different question options that were submitted.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have a request first, and then the others can do as they choose. But on one of the questions that I requested, I'm asking for it to be removed from the questionnaire, and that is item 8.
Do that on the original version?
Point of order.
I don't know if it's, yes, on the original.
So, because this was brought up by myself and Commissioner Milligan, I feel like we should be able to at least discuss it before we.
Well, we're going to, he just wants to remove one of his.
Oh, okay.
All
That's
right.
fine.
So that was question 8 on the original, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Which is mine, I have the right to do, so.
okay.
Mr. Chair?
Madam Clerk?
Point of order. I believe that the people bringing the item should be allowed to introduce the item before there's discussion.
Well, you can still have discussion on, because, right, this was a commissioner removing one of his own pieces.
Right,
So-
I just point of order, the person bringing the item should introduce the item before there's discussion.
I don't want a discussion on it, that's why I removed it.
And Commissioner Murrell just told me he's okay with that. And now
Okay.
Commissioner Murrell is going to speak.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the last regular meeting last week, we were talking about the process for backfilling this vacancy that recently came up. And so we had opportunity to review the original interview questions. So I took those questions, not that I had a problem with those questions, but what I did, just because of my experience in interviewing and when you're asking questions, how do you get the information that you're looking for so you're selecting the right person for any position, really? And so what I did is all the questions are the same except the separation of church and state question. That was the only question that I actually dropped initially and replaced it with question number 5. It's on page 70. That's the only question that I changed as far as the type of question that was being asked. All the other questions are the exact same of what was on the original interview packet. It's just they were reworded to gather as much information as possible. So you'll see some of these questions are multi-question that are related and go. I know I worked with Commissioner Milligan on this, getting his input on it as well. And then finally, I added 2 more questions to it. One was, what district do you live in? The town of Edgewood. I think that's an important question to ask folks. And then finally, the last question, question number 12, asking about folks being able to share anything with us that may not necessarily have came out in the interview. So it's an opportunity for folks to actually say, you know, this was a fair interview, or, you know what, I feel like I didn't get to tell too much about this about me. So it's an opportunity for them to brag. And then, of course, the other, I believe that's what, the other packet's the original, and then there's a hybrid version of it. And of course, I also, like I said, I just categorize them, so we have an introduction and background for folks. We have roles and responsibilities that talks about the commission role, motivation and contribution section, how would they handle conflicts, commitment and availability to do this role, and then closings. That's how it was organized and broken up. Now I'm done introducing it.
Okay. So basically, the original questions is, I think, kind of a moot point since the hybrid version and Commissioner Morello's his version, what we need to look at and just make sure that, one, the questions that they're not too directed, because we don't want to go ahead and basically try to funnel a person down a certain road to answer a question a certain way. We want to let them be able to wander on their own, because that's how you find out exactly where their mind is at on different issues. When you're like doing an interview for like a technician, that's when you really want to get into really pinpointed, directed type questions, because you got to make sure that that individual is going to be able to perform the jobs of that particular thing you're looking at, technician. Like for myself, when I was doing interviews for wind turbine technicians, got very specific about very specific wind turbine items. So you're very pointed on those questions. But when you're hiring for a manager, and this is pretty much, I think you can say this is kind of like hiring for a manager's position. It has a lot of the same attributes that apply to a commissioner and to a manager. So you want to be able to, word your questions so that you give that person an opportunity to go ahead and take the path that they want and not try to direct them down a certain path. I hope, did I get confusing on that? 'Cause So has everybody had a good chance to read all the questions?
Yes.
So I know the hybrid version, like I said, it's a combination of the original and the questions that Commissioner Morello had submitted. So what I'm going to recommend here is that we discuss what we should have and shouldn't have on them. I believe most of the questions from Commissioner Morello's is addressed in the hybrid, just worded a little bit different. Like I said, we're not trying to direct anybody down any particular path. So let's go ahead and discuss these two versions here and see if we can't come to a conclusion of which questions we want to go ahead and put in there. Who wants to go first? Nobody?
Frankly, I want to hear the comments first,
Which comments?
whatever they come up with, and then I'll respond.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Morello?
I appreciate what you were talking about and not trying to point people down a certain road, and how we want people to respond. I spent several hours going over these questions, and just in my personal background of developing questions for, well, part of a decade, interviewing over hundreds of people, backfilling hundreds of positions. I personally feel that all these questions, I could see how some might say that they are pointed, but I do think that they're not necessarily pointed. They're just getting to the position and to the role. So they are going to be a little bit more pointed. And so just going through just a couple of examples, I think the first question really, can you tell me a little about yourself and your background? That's where applicants really do have an opportunity to describe who they are, what history do they want to share with us, right? What do they feel, why they're there? They can do that if they so choose during that question. Whereas the question number 2, what district do you live in within the town of Edgewood? That's just a very specific, and we want them to tell us specifically, right, of where they're at. Moving down to like question 3, for example, what do you believe are the primary responsibilities of the Edgewood Town Commission, and how do you see it contributing to the town's success? This is a very broad question because it's asking what do they see those responsibilities as. It's also a very broad response that they can make on that specific part, and then on that second half of that sentence, how do you see it contributing to the town's success? Again, is a very broad statement, so it's not pigeonholing anybody into a very specific response, right? That's a very open question. And I guess I could do that for every question, but I don't think you guys want to listen to me. Is there a specific question that maybe is more of a challenge that maybe I can help walk through? Or would you all prefer me to go ahead and just go through question by question?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya.
I'd like to know a lot more about number 5.
Mr. Chair, can you put your mic down? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to know more about question number 5.
on which version, the Commissioner Morello's or the hybrid?
That's what he's talking about.
Okay,
He's not talking about the other ones.
I just want to make sure it's clear for the record. So question 5 was, what is your personal belief about the U.S. Constitution? How do you think its principles should guide the decisions and actions of the town commissioner?
So, since that's a question directed at me, so for that question, that was originally that separation of church and state question, which I felt was very divisive and actually caused more problems than it was worth, considering that I did go through that process, and that question being asked actually led to quite a few problems. The point and goal of this is to ask them, about the U.S. Constitution and its principles and how the Constitution guides us as commissioners. We do take an oath swearing to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. And so for me, that was a very relevant question. Again, it's not pigeonholing anybody into a specific response. As we know in this country, folks come from varying diverse backgrounds and beliefs about what the Constitution does and does not say, right? And so I think this is actually a good opportunity for people to articulate that and to show how their views will intersect with the town commission style government. Not so much with the town commissioner, but with the town commission style government.
Jim?
Yes,
Okay.
I yield.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya.
I want to see that stricken from the questions, and merely because the town of Edgewood does not deal with the U.S. Constitution, other than that we pledge that we pretty much just recognize it. Yes, it's there. To me, it's a biased one because it was written over 200 and some odd years ago. It doesn't reflect a whole lot of what today is. And that's one reason that I chose to pull my question out, because it's the same thing. We're a device, not a device, we are a device community, but I'd like to see us be more of a conclusive community where we can start thinking about each other in a way that we want to appreciate, and not being told by something that's been written 200-300 years ago. That's a personal feeling that I have. We also pledge to the Constitution of the State of New Mexico, and that's what we do. Our job as commissioners for a municipality are very limited as to what we can and cannot do. And therefore, the U.S. Constitution does not reflect a whole lot of teeth in the New Mexico State Constitution and the state statute that we have to follow.
I have to disagree with you on the point, on as far as the Constitution, even though it was written over 200 years ago, it is still very valid today. And the problem that I see in most communities is that those type of feelings about the Constitution is what's starting to have it, causing some of the problems that we are having throughout the country. Now, I do like the way that particular question was reworded on the hybrid, and it would then be, it's question number 4 on the hybrid, and it's just slightly reworded, and I think that is a, what's the word I'm looking for? Shoot, it just ran out of my head. I hate it when that happens. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think the way question 4 on the hybrid is written is a very good compromise to question 5 on Commissioner Murillo's original, and I think it still keeps the integrity of what the question was meant to be.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Murillo.
I'm amendable to that. Was there any other questions?
Yeah, because I'm going through the list here of all the different questions, and each one is pretty much covered on both lists. It's just the wording slightly different.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Naya.
I'd also like to know why is it that we're not asking questions about the New Mexico Constitution?
Well, if you want, we can put that into the same question.
Yeah.
U.S./New Mexico Constitution covers both. I mean, that's a valid question, and I agree with you. We can go ahead and do both. So it can just be, U.S./New Mexico Constitution covering both documents. I mean, we are bound by both documents. Let's see.
Okay, I can live with that.
I think the only question that's on the hybrid that I don't think was on Commissioner Murillo's original is the one talking about conflicts of interest. Or did I miss it? No. So that's on the hybrid, it's question number 13. Yeah, 13.
Okay, I struck 5 out.
Right. And the other one I'm not finding a match for on the hybrid, which is question 7, talking about pressing issues for the town. I don't believe I see it on your original. There. Am I missing something?
Check, I thought I covered that. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Morrell?
that falls under my version, under motivation and contribution, question 8, is there a specific goal or vision for the town that you're particularly passionate about? And how would you work to turn that goal into reality as a commissioner?
Okay, so on the hybrid, they actually split it apart into 2 separate questions. Because question 9 also,
7 and 9.
yeah.
I do feel like question 8 in my version allows those questions to be together. It would be awkward in an interview to interrupt a train of thought, or we wouldn't want to interrupt the flow of a response. So I think keeping them together does make sense to me.
Okay. Well, I do like having the questions kind of split apart, but would you be amenable in moving 7 in between 8 and 9? So it'd be like this. Take that and stick it in right there. So you'd be talking about the pressing issues, and then you going on to what their vision is for actually getting there.
So you'd propose, so 7 and 9 would be the same question then as 8, just worded differently.
Right.
I would be amenable to that. 8.
You're still asking the same question, the same information, you're just splitting it up where they can go ahead and,
Sure, that would be fine.
okay. So it looks like right now that we're looking at the hybrid version with a few changes to it.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Merlo?
I thought we were still looking at my version.
Well, we're looking at both versions, but like I said, we've been
Oh,
comparing the
we're
two of them.
switching over, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
why I've been going along, and everything that's on yours, I've been trying to find its counterpart over here.
I've been doing this, the changes. We can work. I've been adding the changes, so I can make a motion.
Okay.
That will include all those changes.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to make that motion, sir? All right.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Murillo?
I move that we accept my version of my version and Commissioner McGill.
Milligan, it's not good.
McMillan's.
You can call me Bully, get it worse.
I move that we accept the interview questions proposed by myself and Commissioner Milligan with the changes on question 5 to be replaced with questions 4 from the hybrid, and that question 8 in my version to be replaced with questions 7 and 8, or 7 and 9 from the hybrid.
Okay.
Let me know if you want me to say that again.
Yes, say that again.
That we accept my version
Am I?
with the question number 5 being replaced with question 4 from the hybrid,
Okay.
and my version to also be accepted with the revision that question 8 would be replaced with questions 7 and 9 from the hybrid.
Yeah, you might want to go ahead and just write that all out.
You want me to write it out?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Milligan.
We have the New Mexico Constitution added into the U.S. Constitution as well, too, right?
Oh. Here, let me write it out and I'll remake the motion.
Yeah.
Item 4 on the hybrid.
I wrote that down but didn't read it.
The tedious part.
And actually, they like to make it, the motion simple, just make your motion so you go through line item, and that way they would have it all. See what I'm saying?
To read each question.
Yeah, you make a
Okay.
motion that,
Okay. I can do that.
I just so everybody is as clear as possible.
Next question, okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Chair.
All right.
I move that we approve Commissioner Milligan's and my interview questions as follows. Question 1, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? Question 2, what district do you live in within the town of Edgewood? Question 3, what do you believe are the primary responsibilities of the Edgewood Town Commission? How do you see it contribute to the town's success? Question 4, what is the understanding of town commissioner, town manager form of government, and how do you see the roles of the town commission and town manager working together to serve the community? Question 5. Question 5 would be, how do you think the principles of the U.S./New Mexico Constitution should guide the decisions and actions of the town commissioner? Question 6, what do you consider to be the proper meeting decorum and how you would ensure meetings are conducted respectfully and efficiently? Question 7, what qualities or strengths do you bring that would make you an effective and impactful commissioner? Question 8, what do you think are the most pressing issues for the town at this time? Question 9, is there a specific goal or vision for the town that you particularly are passionate about as a commissioner? How would you work to make it a reality? Question 10, have you been actively involved in the Edgewood community? If so, what contributions have you made to help improve and strengthen the community? Question 11 would be, can you describe a time when you experienced conflict with a coworker, friend, or relative? How do you approach resolving the situation, and what was the outcome? Question 12, our regular meetings are held on the 2nd and 4th of each month, with workshops typically scheduled on the same days at 5 p.m. Does your schedule allow you to attend these meetings and workshops? And the final question would be 13, is there anything you'd like to share that hasn't been covered in this interview but you believe is important for us to know?
Yeah, before somebody seconds it, I'd like to ask if you would add what was on this one, number 13, talking about conflicts of interest. Which would, on your list, it would go between the new question 12 and the closing question.
So question 13 would be,
Do you have any conflicts of interest?
do you have any conflicts of interest that may prohibit you from performing the duties of the town of Edgewood Commissioner? Then the final question would be 14, is there anything you'd like to share that hasn't been covered in this interview but you believe is important for us to know?
Okay. I know that's a long and drawn-out motion, but it helps keep everything clear for everybody. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya?
I want it to be noted that I want to make a motion too.
Okay.
My motion is that we accept the hybrid.
We have the first motion.
Point of order.
Yeah, you
Mr.
got to close
Chair,
out the first motion before you do a second motion.
point of order. You have a motion
Yeah.
and you ask for a second. If there's no second, then the motion dies.
Yes.
If there's a second, then discussion before another motion can be made.
So, on the original motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Milligan seconds it, so now we're into the discussion. So basically, the two different versions are now almost identical, except for the numbering. On the hybrid, question 14 is actually question 2 on the initial, which, for myself, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, the question gets asked. It's just exactly where you want to ask the question. And question 5 is using the wording from question 4 from the hybrid. And then we have the other ones where question 8 is now split between 2 questions. So it actually becomes question 8 and becomes question 8 and 9. Question 9 becomes question 10, which is question 10 on the hybrid, which is pretty much almost identical questions. Handling changes in conflict, which is was 10, but since the change of the numbers became question 11, which on the hybrid is also question 11, which is pretty much identical. Question number 11 from the original, which is now question number, its new number is now question 12. Once again, pretty much identical to the hybrid. Question 13 from the hybrid is inserted into the Commissioner Murillo's version. And then the final closing question, question 14, once again, is pretty much identical to the hybrid version. So right now, the way it stands, both documents are the same. And that's my 2 cents. Next.
I don't have another discussion.
Well, you know where I stand.
All right, Commissioner Murillo, anything else you want to add?
Nope, and I have the edits right here.
Okay. So like I said, I mean, the way we have now changed Commissioner Murillo's original version, it is pretty much identical now to the hybrid. It's just, the numbering's changed a little bit. So if there's no further discussion, we'll move to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, let the record show there's 3 ayes and 1 opposed. All right. I buried the agenda when I put it. There we go. All right, that's done. All right, this is, next item is discussion only. It's the advisory board appointments for, needed for 2025. Everybody should have a copy of that sheet of all the openings. Let's see, so we got the animal welfare that we're going to be, we need to bring it back, and then work on getting people to fill that, all right? Then we have the Economic Development Board. Then there's the library, which, they are short 2 people right now. And the lodger's tax, which needs 5 and 1 alternate. I've actually got a volunteer already for that, so, and I'm working on some more.
Great.
And let's see here. I know the lodger's tax is one of the ones we've had the most trouble with, trying to get people to show up for meetings. And I understand that the owner of the hotel is directing his manager, who happens to be his son, to attend meetings. So that's going to be good. And we'll see if son follows father. But that's another issue we don't have to deal with.
Right.
And then our Parks and Recreation. We got 3 regulars that are going to be coming up for due. So this, like I said, this is just discussion. Does anybody have anything they want to add to our hunt for these people?
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken?
Community Liaison Burt can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know it was kind of a crazy week while I was working with her on this, but I believe we posted something out on Facebook as well about some of these openings, hoping we can get some more interest, because I know that's one thing we've ran into, that it just be who everybody knows, but we're hoping that, especially with the lodger's tax, that we can attract some more individuals to participate.
Mr. Chair, Madam Manager, the post is ready to go, but waiting for tonight's discussion to see if there were any changes needed before it went up, but it will go up tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I knew that she had been working on that. Like I said, I was kind of in and out reading emails, and I just remember looking at that with her. But that is one way that we thought we could get a broader audience and allow for many members of the public to have the opportunity to serve the community. As I've been at Town Hall working over here, I've realized a lot of the community isn't aware of these boards, and that they're also open to the public to come listen to the meetings as well. So we're hoping just to get more interest and more interaction from the community.
Well, if anybody, I'll go ahead. Just my 2 cents. We should be doing the same public outreach on the boards as we are for the commission seat. Is that what you already got in motion? All right, great minds think alike. Yay.
I jumped the gun.
Commissioner Murillo.
Just because I'm not 100% sure and clear, so when an appointment is made, we approve those appointments?
Correct.
Would it be okay that moving forward, that when people come, I don't want to be in a situation like we were last week where we didn't have information.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the folks that are wanting to be an advisory, that they at least know what they should tell us, like why are they interested? What will they contribute to it? I think last week was a great example in retrospect. It would have been better if I'd asked Ms. Burke, what's your recommendation? We didn't ask her for her recommendation or her a letter of support for it. We might have already had it. We just didn't have anything. So I think moving forward, that would help us to be more conscious of who's actually being appointed, since we're not actually interviewing anybody for it. We're asking them to tell us about it, and then we're making those decisions. I think that would be a better route to go, because then it's recorded, the public can hear, they know who's being assigned to this, why they're interested in it, and it gives us the opportunity to say aye or nay, depending on what we're hearing, to have the consent of the commission at the end of the day. I think that would be a good step in the right direction for us, and allows for transparency. Not that I know we live in the good old boy state, but that's not how Edgewood's going to be. We're not going to be a good old boy town. It's going to be based on what people are bringing to the table to benefit the community, not self-interests.
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken.
I know in the past, a lot of these appointments come through the boards and often through the department heads, but if there are commissioners that are assigned to those boards, maybe they are given to the commissioners to bring forward as well, and that may help some of the process, so they're already vetted by a commissioner and sponsored, and then that discussion could happen at the we can go through a process so everyone can understand who they are, what they are, or not what they are, but what they're here for, I should say. So I think that's a great idea, but maybe that's something we should include in the process is the department manager and a commissioner sponsoring them.
That's a good, I know last week there were, the sheet wasn't in the packet, and, it's water under the bridge. So going forward, I do know that Ms. Burke, who is the library manager, was fully in support of the nomination, but we'll just get the documents for everybody so they can see.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I 150% agree with you. I thought that letter of recommendation was included in the packet, and it's a learning thing. And moving forward, we'll make sure I will have assistance from my town manager here to make sure, and from Community Liaison Burke. I rely on them heavily because I'm still learning how to put the packets together, but that was, it should have been in there. I 150% agree.
And I know in the past when we've had advisory board members come up, it's the manager of that department and/or the chair of that board would come up and make recommendations and bring it to the commission, and we discussed. A lot of this, it's been 3 years since we did a lot of, board nominations. So we're kind of, starting back over again, and we just got to go ahead and make sure that we have everything in place for everybody. Okay. So you're going to advertise, you're going to question and print, and we're going to look and read.
Yes.
Yes. Plan.
And you're going to supervise.
All right. Any other discussion on the advisory boards?
Mr. Chair, I do want to thank Community Liaison Burke for gathering all of this together. I know it's helpful to you guys, but it's also so helpful to me to learn about the different boards that we have and the vacancies that we need. So I just want to thank you for your time on this. I personally need this, and I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I would like to echo that because I know that Community Liaison Burke actually went to every department to figure out all of this information, and I don't know how much time or what it took, but I just know that she's been very diligent on keeping up on this, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
All right. So we got a lot of work to do on boards next year.
It's a lot of work.
All right. So last item on the list here, discussion and action to approve the 2025 holiday calendar. This is the one everybody's waiting for, right?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. McCracken.
I would like to thank Community Liaison Burke again. Her and I had started this discussion, and because I've done the calendar, I was able to give it to her, and I went through it, then she went through it again. But this is what is proposed. I know she had a few things that we've talked about, and this should be everything that we've always done every year. In the past, if the holiday falls on a weekend where law enforcement has to work anyways and the rest of the staff doesn't, we normally do a separate PD holiday, but this year, or not this year, but this next year, we don't have that situation. So there is no PD holidays this year, or in 2025.
Has everybody had a good chance to look at the calendar?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Murillo.
And who prepared this? Was it you, Linda? I have questions.
It
Maybe
really-
it'd be- I don't know if we'd be able to pull it up, but, so I got a little bit confused. So in May, it has the 14th and 28th as a payday, but then it's showing the previous month on the same calendar. there's not gonna be 3 pay periods, are there,
Yeah,
in May?
yeah, there's 2 months. 2 months out of the year, end up with 3. It's just, it's the way the dates work out.
So,
Mr., oh,
And I think our treasurer could probably explain it better than I can.
yes, please.
Who wants to
Or-
explain it? Mr. Chair, it's true. This looks a little odd because it's the end of October. There's actually 3 pay periods in October every
Because-
year.
It
Oh,
boils
and
down
there's
to
three-
the
and
number-
there's
The
3
number of Wednesdays that are in the month. If you know.
Mr. Chair,
5.
Well,
It should be June.
Mr. Chair, I see what it is, what he's talking about at the end of April. For whatever reason, it came over onto the top of May where it says the 28th and 30th. I don't think that's supposed to be. I'm sorry, I overlooked that. I think Linda did as well.
so it looks like there's a pay on the 23rd, the 30th, because right here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So,
It's just a typo.
and so like on November, for example, this should actually be highlighted here and not here. So that might just be
Well, that's-
a formatting issue.
Yeah, and the same thing's gonna, I see
October
what
is the
you're, all right,
one.
I see what you're saying. 'Cause I know for ours, there are 2 months that we get
Mhm.
paid 3 times in the month.
Yeah.
That's highlighted.
So I just wanted clarification that maybe that's a formatting issue, not,
Yeah, that's-
Yes.
not a calendar.
No, it's a formatting
Okay.
issue.
I see
Thank you
what
for
you're saying.
catching that, 'cause I think we've looked at it 1,000 times, but
And we can certainly make the correction. You can just approve with amendment that we chuck the pay dates.
Yeah, same thing in November.
Yeah, if you don't want me to see things, don't put it in color.
Did you know what he said? You don't want me to see things, don't put them in color. Good catch. Don't you hate that? God. Work on something for 3 years and see something.
no, we missed that. Just, I think that was just overlooked.
I hate not being perfect.
I do have a question.
Practically perfect. Like, I apologize.
Madam Clerk and Town Manager, in December, and there's probably a government reason why is the payday on the 29th, which is a Monday, instead of the 31st?
Mr. Chair, we can always move it, but otherwise it would be processed on the Tuesday going on Wednesday, which I don't think is a big deal, but I think we move that just so that the payroll has time, just in the event they want to take that day off, or,
Okay, so we're not jumping up against the gun, all right.
no.
See, I knew there'd be a government-type reason.
Government shuts down in the holidays, sir.
So if we do that, do we estimate, well, it's gonna be from the hours from the week before, so that's okay, all right. I'm going back to my old wind turbine days when we had stuff like that. We had to estimate hours that are gonna be worked and put it in there. It was a pain in the neck. But this is, yeah, this is different.
For the
Okay.
next year?
Anybody else?
It's good to me, Mr. Chair.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah,
And-
it's here.
yeah.
It's here, never
That's
mind.
right, I was like, that's for 2006. I mean, 26.
If everybody's happy with this, we wanna go to an approval? I need a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I
Milligan,
make a motion that we approve the town of Edgewood's 2025 year calendar with recommended change that Commissioner Murillo made.
okay. It's motion to go ahead and approve the calendar with the corrections mentioned by Commissioner Miller. Yeah, my lips are not working today. Commissioner Murillo from May and November. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Murillo seconds. Any discussions on this? All right, so, we okay?
Yes, I apologize.
All right, let's move to the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Calendar's approved. Future meetings.
We're done for eternity.
We don't have it written on the agenda, but I believe the next meeting is 7 January?
Mr. Chair, I believe
Or-
it's January 14th.
Is it January 14th? Thought we had talked about moving it up so we didn't have such a big gap between the meetings.
We talked about it, we didn't do it.
Mr. Chair, you can make that decision, I guess.
So the next meeting is January 7th.
At last week's meeting, you did discuss it and decided to move it to the 7th so we wouldn't have the large gap.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm just out of the way.
I was just hoping I wasn't having a senior moment. You know?
Mr. Chair, didn't we leave it because we were talking about, at that meeting, we were going to talk more about the commission vacancy, and we were going to set times for interviews, things like that, and
Well, that's, the cutoff date is on the 15th, so it wouldn't have mattered either way, so it's 7 or 14th.
The interview dates would be set on the second meeting of January, which
Yeah.
they didn't move that date, so I believe it was the 26th.
Okay, I misunderstood then, obviously.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all right. And let's see, so that, and then the next meeting would end up being on the 21st of January. 21st. And then we'll be back on track. That would not be in line with your normal. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, the normal meeting dates for January would have been January 14th and 28th. And so you moved
Oh,
the
that's-
meeting
okay.
to the 7th.
Yeah.
But I don't think you moved to the 28th.
No, you're right, you're right.
So the 7th and the 28th would be the January dates.
Yeah, so say January 7th, January 28th, next meetings. Future events, Parks and Rec Manager Jimmy Martinez, do we have any future events coming up you want to discuss?
I know the kids are trying to plan a Valentine's dance, so hopefully I'll be meeting with them tomorrow to discuss. The only problem is location. I know the community center is really small, so we're going to try and reach out to the school district to see about renting one of their facilities or one of the local churches. So that's on
How
the
big of a
agenda
space
for
you
that.
need?
Huh?
How big of a space you need?
I don't know. It just depends on kids, you know, who's going to show up. So I think we're planning on doing February 15th, probably not the 14th, but we'll see. You know, we'll brainstorm tomorrow and see what they want to do, and hopefully some of the kids can reach out to their principals and things like that to see if they can accommodate us for something like that. I have moved forward, just to let you know, I have some plans for the 4th of July, so I've been talking to some people, trying to broaden the car show, the parade. I am going to request again that we do a beer garden, probably a bigger beer garden than we had last time. I'm still in talks with the same people about the fireworks show, but hopefully it's a little bit easier than it was the last time. And just moving forward, I'm planning on doing a big Easter event with some of the local churches, and we also want to do a quarterly run. So the first one we'll do for the quarter will be the Easter hop run. So some of you commissioners want to dress up as Easter bunnies and hop along the trail. We're all for that. I see Anaya like a big no there, huh? Okay, but those are some of the things we're gonna do, and so tomorrow we're basically gonna go through the 2025 schedule and figure out what we want to do. I know the teens had a real good success with teen nights, so we're looking forward to having a teen night in June, July, and August before school lets out. So.
Okay.
But I will keep you guys informed anytime that something comes up and, you know, an event that we'd like to put on. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else from the staff?
Adjourn.
Anything else from the commission? All right. Move to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Time is 7:47.
All right. Happy New Year,